Welcome to another episode of Between Two Dots, brought to you by Intention Media Corp. This week, we were joined by BJ. BJ is the founder of Most Connected, a coaching and consulting firm helping technical organizations build stronger connections with their people. Born in former Yugoslavia, his journey from engineer to coach is rooted in a deep belief in human connection. He helps businesses uncover their purpose and empower their employees to thrive. His question to you is simple. What's your purpose and how are you fulfilling it? Vija and I met in 2019, where he was one of the co-leads of an accelerator program, and him and I instantly connected. He's got such a unique perspective on life, and the work that he's doing, help people figuring out their purpose and working with some of these organizations is pretty extraordinary. So welcome, VJ.
So good to see you, man. We were just saying right before we started recording that you and I had wanted to catch up, and unfortunately, Gil can't be here. So it's you and me catching up. This is exactly what we wanted, and as always, the universe delivers. So happy you're here, bro.
Likewise, Hafiz. This has been on my to-do list since not long after you launched the podcast. I thought let's take our amazing conversations that we've had in person over the phone, and how do we bring it to this environment? So yeah, man, I'm sad to miss out on Gilbert. Gilbert, I'll catch with you. I'll catch you the next time, but I'm happy to have you one on one, Hafiz.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure, man. Always, I'm pumped to have you, Gilbert. Unfortunately, it's like the week after Stampede. I think he hit a record of like 30 events or something like that. I don't know. I saw on his LinkedIn he was everywhere. So he's quote unquote sick. He might just be like gassed. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I'm glad to have you all to myself, man. It has been some time. For people that are listening and who don't know, you and I met during Radius Slingshot, and that was in 2019 in Vancouver. And you were tell us what you were doing there at that time.
Yeah, it was April 1st. So not April Fool's joke when I first started at Radius. It was my first kind of serious job after my career pivot. That was I transitioned from being an engineer project manager and I got into the startup world. And yeah, I met you. You were one of the ventures that was going through the later stage accelerator program. And I got thrown right into the deep end and I got to sort of watch your journey. At the time, you were running Play City.
Hmm.
There's a few other hopeful, aspiring and entrepreneurs, real life entrepreneurs. And it was just amazing, man, to be involved in that. And I felt like I just sort of learned so much from you and just we connected. I think you and I
Hmm.
in particular, but it was awesome to be a part of that program.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I can't wait to hear about where you're up to today, but we'll get to that. But that's a good introduction of how we met. I had a blast out there as well too, man. That was a super powerful program. We had a lot of fun. We ended up playing some tennis after as well too. You won a controversial match, but still,
What did
still in
I?
the back. You got space rent free in my head. Best comeback of the year, man, when you won that match.
Oh, I totally forget. Thank you.
Yeah.
My spirits are lifted here in that. I'm sorry that happened.
It was years ago now, but yeah, I think about it every day. That was a good time though, man. But I'm interested and at the beginning, you know what I mean? Like you talked about your transition later in life, and we'll get to where you're going right now. But let's start at the beginning. You know, a lot of what we talk about on the show is the journey. The dots are life and death. So let's start at life. You know, what's the beginning look like? Where were you born? What was life like growing up?
Yeah, honestly, thank you for asking that question because it's something that I often, growing up, I didn't give too much attention. But
Mm,
as I've grown older, I realize how much of an impact my past has on me. So I grew up, and I'll say it, I grew up in a country that no longer exists.
mm,
The former Yugoslavia. My birth certificate with that country is now in 7, 8 different countries. I've lost count. Um, Had a great childhood. My family, they ran a fashion store in the one of the big cities, Sarajevo, there in Bosnia. There were prosperous times, but then the war happened when I was around 5, 6 years old in the early 90s. And kind of momentarily, my world turned upside down. I went from um, playing with the kids in front of the building to being called inside because there was gunshots taking place. And then, next thing I know, we're spending a couple of nights in a bomb shelter. We fled Bosnia. I was in a cargo plane on this
Mm.
floor of a cargo plane, military cargo plane. That's how we got out of there. And one thing left after another, we landed in Canada as refugees. And so that was yeah, that was a big start of my journey as a refugee in Canada.
That is wild. You know what? All these years of knowing you, I've never heard that story,
Really? Shit,
which is
there you go.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, like like wait, that's insane. Like I always knew that you came from Yugoslavia, and hearing that though too, like tell me, like you have a brother as well too. Like I met Igor, but do you have other siblings as well?
No, just my brother, my older brother, who's got way less gray hair than me. So sometimes younger brother, but older brother.
Yeah, but you have equally an amazing main though too. We'll get to that in a bit as well too.
Thank
That
you. I
you,
I have to. I copied him. I copied my brother. He was my inspiration there.
okay, that's hey, you got to go where inspiration flows, and no pun intended, 'cause that's some great flow. But let's talk about that. So I didn't know that your parents owned like a fashion store and stuff like that as well too. Like so your parents were entrepreneurs back then
Yeah,
as well
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My dad first worked, I think it was in the like construction industry in Russia. A lot of people at that time, went and had jobs there. I don't know the full details, but I know that they came back and him and my mom were partners in, I believe it was an Italian brand store, selling products in Bosnia, and it was quite popular. It was like I
Mm,
still have some family and even friends of friends that have those clothing items like 20, 30 years later.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So prosperous business, you're out there having fun. I can't even imagine at that young of an age getting called in because gunfire and just warfare going down, and you have memories of that. It sounds like. Um, does does that still like stick with you? Like, do you ever think about those old times?
Again, I did less. Like I was lucky. I think my family and my parents never like they always try to protect us. It was never really, man, one crazy story. I don't know if I ever told you this, but one night we came up from the bomb shelter. We came upstairs to our apartment, and I think my dad, obviously all the curtains were drawn, but he went to check something outside, and sniper fire came through our window and
Wow,
ricocheted around our apartment.
holy smokes!
So even stories like that, sometimes I'll still hear stories from my parents and relatives, but maybe it's one of those things people don't feel comfortable talking about. One of those things that people rather just forget and move on.
Hmm.
And I think I did that for a long time in my life. But
Hmm.
as I got older and I wanted to understand a little bit about the things that drive me and the things that are important to me, and I started doing a little bit of understanding of my past.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's kind of when I started understanding more of that and the impact it's had on me and the work that I do today.
Yeah, it's wild. Like those, as research shows, like 1 or 0 to like 9 years old or whatever, like the most formidable years. And interestingly enough, like life will kind of put all these layers on you, and then eventually you start unraveling those layers, or like an onion, and you kind of come back to who you are as yeah, as a youth, right, or as a child. So it's really interesting, kind of coming back and using those things and the work that you eventually end up doing, or your life mantra or purpose or whatever. But I want to unpack that a bit as well too. Like, let's talk about this bomb shelter. So bomb shelters, I've never seen one in real life. Like you say, you have an apartment. Did you guys have to build that? Like, because you guys weren't always in war, or was it like how does that work?
Honestly, I mean, maybe we have been. Like, it's crazy. I think, I don't know what the statistics are, but I think just a lot of buildings in the former Yugoslavia, maybe because of World War II or whatever. I think they're just
Mm,
something that is common there. I didn't know too much about it as a young man, but I just remember going into the basement and it was these like massive, like bank like vault doors that just opened and we went in and it was all these bunk beds.
wow. Okay.
And my memory of it is a little bit fuzzy, but that's the stuff I remember. And again, it wasn't like a sense of shock. It was like, hey, we're going here now, and like that's what we're doing. I'm like, okay, so we're doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Wild. So your entire apartment building would then get shifted into this basement
I
bunker.
think so. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Wild. Okay. So as you recalled, you're getting flown out of Yugoslavia, and you're going into Canada, and you're on this like cargo plane on the ground. Did everyone in your like apartment building get flown out at the same time? Have you guys had a lottery of some sort? Like how does that work?
Man, listen, I don't know the exact details. From
Yeah.
my understanding,
Yeah.
it was a bit of every person family on their own. Like
Mm,
what connections you had. So for us, that initial flight wasn't to Canada. I think it was to Serbia, so one of the
Mm.
neighboring countries. We had some connections in the military and through my uncle. So we were actually like tossed over a fence to the runway to the military plane or to the cargo
Wow.
plane. So no, not I don't know everyone in my building. Also, some
Yeah.
people they chose to stay. You know, they wanted to stay.
Mm.
My grandparents stayed there during the war, and they sort of toughened it out, if you will.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, not everyone went. And I think there's probably, I mean, that's not something that I haven't discussed a ton, but I wonder what kind of feelings exist with the people who stayed to suffer or to fight versus the people who left or fled or and you know, I
Right.
think there's probably some unconscious tensions around that potentially.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really interesting perspective, and you're probably like not wrong for a number of reasons, right? As you can imagine, what people have seen or whatever. But in a time of like that literally fight or flight, and you have the connections, and your parents are trying to do the best thing for them and yourselves to get out of Dodge, like that is wild. I cannot even imagine being part of like a war-torn country. Like we live such a privileged life out here, not knowing anything, but seeing it on social media as the world is in turmoil in certain spots right now. Like you've lived that, right? Um, okay, so tell me where. So you said you were in Serbia. How long? Do you remember how long you were in Serbia for before you came to Canada?
Honestly, like sometime months, maybe I did like half the first grade or something like that, 6 to 12 months max. So I know we spent some time in Slovenia as well because
Mm,
it was a bit more peaceful. As I recollect, Bosnia was the epicenter
yeah.
of the conflict. So yeah, when then yeah, those 6 months or so, and then we flew to Canada when I was around seven, as I remember,
Okay.
93. Yeah,
Crazy. And where did you land in Canada?
Toronto, Toronto.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so tell me about that. What happened in Toronto? What did your parents do in Toronto? Do you have any recollection, or did you guys talk about
I
that?
do, I do. Well, my parents, my mom continued her work as a seamstress. So in the fashion industry, she was a seamstress. And then my
Mm,
dad sort of navigated different jobs. I think it was difficult for him to, you know, was he going to re-educate himself? So he navigated a couple of different jobs at that time. But for me, it was, I think more of my challenges come in that initial part in Canada where I really felt a sense of like maybe not belonging. I didn't know a word of English. I remember my dad had to like take me to school and show me what was the boys' bathroom. I didn't even know something,
hmm
or who knows? I just couldn't like think to see what sign to go. And
Yeah.
anyway, that was it, traumatizing. I got into a lot of fist fights in the schoolyard because maybe I couldn't speak to the kids and there was these language barriers. But I remember, and I'll say this because it's an important part of the future story, is that I had this ESL teacher, Mr. Romero, and you know, he gave me a sense of like belonging, a sense that I
hmm
could learn the language, I could get along with the other kids. And so
hmm
that moment on, I wanted to be a teacher,
Hmm.
and so of course I became an engineer. Right, you know, when you feel those pressures, like nah, teacher is doesn't get paid enough. Let's go for the
Yeah.
engineer route.
Yeah, it's funny. Like your heart knows what it wants, but then your brain tells you you should do something else, right? Like it's funny, man. That's I had a similar little story back then as well too. Like I was also part of ESL. I was born in Calgary, but my grandma helped raise me quite a bit, and she'd speak at any English. The only English I would speak at home was when we would watch like Young and the Restless or Jerry Springer, when I would kind of like sneak away. But yeah, I remember ESL as well too, and my ESL teacher gave me a ton of confidence as well too. Like ESL teachers are so underrated and obviously so impactful to the point that it made you want to become a teacher. And I thought about
Yeah,
becoming a
that's
phys ed
cool,
teacher
man.
because of that too, you know? So there you go. We got that in common as well
Look
too.
at
But
that.
that's
That's awesome. People, someone born in Canada, not having to, that's amazing. That's cool. I never thought of it, you know, that from that perspective, that that could be the case.
yeah, I mean my parents are busy grinding away, and at home they would speak to my grandma in Kutchi, which is our native tongue, and that's what I would speak until I went to school. And I was also like just, you know, but I think for you, people are probably pissed at you. You're like this handsome foreigner coming to their town, and they're like, "Who's this guy? He's gonna
Yeah,
steal
right.
our
Yeah,
young
right.
our young ladies, handsome Vanya."
Yeah, I wish, man. Maybe,
Uh,
who knows? You flatter me, Hafiz. You flatter me.
Look at you, you're glowing, buddy. You're a handsome dude.
Thank you.
Mm. Okay, so your dad's navigating life in Toronto. Um, Yeah. So how long were you guys there for before you guys moved? Because did you move to the West Coast on your own, or like
Yeah, on my
let's talk
own.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay, so
grew up in
walk us
Toronto.
through in
So
Toronto. Yeah.
from 93 till 2012. What is that? 19 years, 20 years?
Mm,
Yeah, so I grew up, I so much of my formative years were in Toronto, middle school, high school, university, my first job as an engineer. Yeah,
wow.
I grew up. I mean, Toronto for me was home. I loved it. I was a big, 416, Toronto Raptors, Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
Uh, it wasn't until I left Toronto that there's the joke that Toronto thinks it's the center of the universe.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
it's kind of true, man. When I was in Toronto, that's all I thought about. I'm like, yeah, Toronto is it. Toronto's the shit. So,
Yeah.
yeah, 20 years almost. And then I decided I wanted to switch things up in the mountains and the ocean. And, you know the things about Vancouver that are amazing. And it
Yep.
called me. And that's when I decided to move out in 2012.
Okay. So you go to university. Did you go? Where did you go to school for
U of
university?
T, U of
U of
T.
T. Okay. So you did you did the engineering program, and were you what kind of student were you? Do you remember?
What do you think, Hafiz? Let's hear your take on what's your guess on the student I was?
I mean, if I know you, I think you were a good student. I feel like you were pretty like a pretty social dude, and I feel like you were a balanced person. Like you were probably doing really well in school. I'm gonna guess like B plus average, and then like a pretty solid like social butterfly as well too. How did I do?
Yeah, that's a fair. Yeah, that's fair. My grades were much better in high school versus when I got into engineering. Man, engineering kicked my ass, especially the first year or
Yeah,
two. Like it kicked my ass. It was
yeah,
like it was a humbling experience to go from a low mid 90s average to like 60s, 70s. Like holy. But yeah,
yeah,
I try to balance the hard work in the classrooms, but also the social scene.
yeah. Amazing. And like, did you play any sports when you were growing up in school and stuff like that as well too, or were you like purely academic and then kind of just like social life after?
I did focus on school. I didn't get into it. Maybe sometimes I wonder if it's a regret of mine. Like I never got into like formal training with sports. I always
Mm,
played sports like a pickup. I got into basketball once I had my growth spurt. Tennis was something, you and I played. Tennis was something I just played
hmm
for fun with friends. And so I always loved sports as like, with Play City, even like even as a mental assist, but
hmm
never got into organized sports, which sometimes I don't know if I regretted because I did get to play everything. I played soccer, I played hockey, I played tennis, I played basketball,
hmm
badminton, like you name it. But I never got into one sport where I was like really honing in on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. I mean, good for you for like playing all the sports though and having fun and doing that, right? Like that's pretty amazing. Um, going
That
back to
was sorry,
school.
that was the Bosnian babysitting. It's like here, go outside and go entertain yourself. Come home for dinner.
I mean, there's better. I mean, there's worse ways to do that, right? So like, I think you learn a ton from sports, as you know, and just more so about yourself and teamwork and camaraderie and communication and just confidence and all these things. So I love that you guys that you played. Were you pretty close with your brother growing up as well? Because he's also an engineer, right?
No, he's not an engineer, man. My brother, like I read this in a book. Sometimes when it's siblings, the opposition is the name of the game. I don't know if subconsciously I was seeing my brother what he was doing, and I would sometimes do the opposites. School wasn't his forte. He was always somebody that was self-taught. Like you couldn't force him to learn something unless he wanted to. So he
Gotcha.
got into, I guess you can say engineering, but he got into more of the computer side of things,
Yeah, yeah,
coding and development, the artistic stuff.
yeah.
I went the school route.
Okay, cool, nice, right on. Yeah. So software engineer. You guys like to build things. Sounds like at that point. What kind of engineer did you take?
What's mechanical? I joke the only kind mechanical because I didn't understand anything else. I didn't understand computer, electrical, man, all that stuff over my head.
Okay. And do you remember the first job that you got out of school?
I do.
Yeah.
It
What was
was
it?
in a
Tell us about
it was in a small engineering like testing lab. It was three, four people. And actually, it's funny because that in that job, I actually got my hands dirty, which was something I didn't do a lot. Like we would do testing and certification of different systems and like wind tunnels, piping system. So we'd run things through like a pressurized like water system. We'd run a car radiator through like a wind tunnel to make sure that
Mm.
it was performing per code, and we would be certifying it. So I
Oh,
was
cool.
getting my hands dirty setting up all this lab equipment and testing, and it was cool in that regard because I had never really done a ton of that. I was always look at these like soft hands. I was always the keyboard warrior and less about like you with the crown, getting your hands dirty, doing some of that physical labor.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's funny. Not quite. People still ask me now, like, "You're a mechanic?" I'm like, "No, not even close." But
Do you
I'm
get
I'm
do you
I'm
get
I'm, I'm in a shop.
do you get your hands dirty or no?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I'm always doing something back there. Like there's issues with like equipment they got to like redo or reconfigure. We just hired a new guy that literally started today as well too. So you're back there kind of showing him the ropes, and I started spraying back there as well too. So you got to like impart some knowledge. But now I'm on like the business side. I'm scaling operations and doing stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, one thing I did learn, and my dad taught me this as well too, even with Play City, he's like one of the biggest risks is that you're not a software engineer. So your app is at the mercy of somebody else who is not a founder. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine. And now I get it because he's a mechanic, and he's like, I would never open a mechanic shop if I wasn't a mechanic.
You
So I was
have to
like,
know you have to know some of those intricacies yourself, you're saying.
you do exactly. So when I first started here, I made it a point of like learning from like the bottom up. I want to be the sprayer and get humbled and whatever else, so that when I hire somebody else, I can not only relate and earn that respect, but I also know if they're doing a good job or not. You know what I mean? Like you can't get played that way. So I'm glad I went through those ropes. But
Because that was a difference, right? In Play City, you were, I don't want
yeah,
to say too much at the mercy, but it was too much of your sense of mastery that you didn't know that development of the code so much, right?
well, exactly. No, it was messy. It was all overseas. Like I had no idea. So I literally was at the mercy of like a whole other team, right? And budgets and all. That's a whole different story. But yeah, so many crazy learnings, man. From everything. But let's get back to you here, okay? Well, don't try to turn this on me. BJ, so you're at work, you're engineer, you're getting your hands dirty. Do you remember if you like enjoyed it or not?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It was a bit of a like it was a very small office. Sometimes I felt a little bit like the odd man out just because I wasn't as fast as my colleagues. It was a long commute. It was like an hour each way from my house, or maybe a bit more. Um, and I didn't see the path to success in this company, thinking about being more of an engineer or manager that I was. But I liked it because, just like you said, like it's something I'm kind of doing now in my own consulting work is I'm getting my hands dirty in some ways. It's
Hmm.
not mechanical, but I like that I was able to be involved in the systems because I had a challenge later on when I was, let's say, a project manager in nuclear and oil and gas. I was a bit too far removed from the construction. So I
Hmm.
didn't know. Once I designed and did the engineering work for a system or new build, I wasn't as privy, just like you were saying, I wasn't as privy as what was going on in construction, in operation. So I think there was always a missed level of understanding. And I'm somebody, Hafiz, that I love learning by doing. Like you can
Hmm.
show me something a million times, but unless I'm in it with my hands, it's not gonna stick the same way.
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same way as well too. Like theory is theory, but you have to actually experience it, right, and feel it.
And feel it. And yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, and go through it, right, and kind of earn your lumps along the way as well too, which is awesome. Okay, so you're an engineer, you're liking it, kind of, you know, how long were you at that company for, and what was next for you?
Yeah, again, you're asking such good questions because there's some good points that in all this I've been reminiscing over the years. So that I was there for just a year. And I remember I went to the owner of the company. I was like, "Hey, I got another job. I'm gonna quit." And he was like, "Really?" He's like, "Oh, that's too bad." He's like, "We had such big plans for you."
Hmm.
And I remember thinking, I'm like, "You did?" I'm like, "When were you planning on telling me that? Like, when was that going to be communicated?" And maybe it was a missed opportunity on my end to inquire and to sort of drive that initiative. But I
Hmm.
also feel that wasn't communicated to be like, "Hey, here's your growth trajectory." So
Right.
I left. I got a job in the nuclear industry. which is also interesting. People always think like, oh, nuclear is such advanced technology. It's not really. It's really just
Mm-hmm.
like quality assurance was almost a bigger part of my job than the engineering work was. You really had to meticulously make sure that things were as per safety protocols. And I was working, if you remember in Japan, the Fukushima incident.
Mm-hmm.
So that was happening. I was in the nuclear industry, and the industry kind of took a pause and like, okay, what are all the things and systems we have to put in place to make sure that our safety redundancies are even higher? So I did that, but over the time there, my work started to switch more to project management.
Okay.
And I started doing less technical stuff. I was never somebody that was super like engineering technical content. I can do it, but it takes a lot of effort for me. It was the people skills, talking to the clients, talking to the other engineering disciplines, bringing things together as sort of the glue guy. That's where I started to find my calling and sort of
Mm-hmm.
my discipline.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool when it starts kind of like unfold in front of you, and you can feel it from within. Like, okay, I fit in here. This feels good, right? Did you have a moment after that as well too? Like, do you have more certifications after your engineering for project management then? Like, how did that kind of
Yeah,
trajectory go?
I went to school to get a project management like a mini degree, and then I also got my certificate through the Project Management Institute, got my PMP, and so I
Okay.
have that certification. That's what you mean, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Amazing. Okay, so I love that about you, man, because like you're not sitting on your laurels. Like you're getting re-educated. You're going there, you're kind of digging deeper and getting those certifications. Was education always a big part of kind of like your upbringing? Like, did your parents kind of hammer that home to say, school is kind of like your ticket, or
Not
you know,
really, man. I
no?
remember it's actually the opposite. I remember my parents wanted to leave school a little bit earlier. Like this was in maybe high school, middle school. They wanted us to leave a little bit earlier so that we could go to Bosnia and Serbia for the summer.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, we can't do that. I have to stay. I gotta finish school. They're like, what kid does that? Usually, if you got your ticket from your parents to get out of school earlier, you're gonna take it. So I think almost to a fault, I was meticulous to school. And I would sometimes think of myself, I was maybe book smart, but I wasn't street smart. And so I almost to a fault. And it's funny, Hafiz, for the first time in my life right now, I do work as a coach.
Hmm.
I'm doing work that I don't have a certificate in. And I excuse my language, I fucking love it and I'm fucking kicking ass. It's like I don't need an education, I don't need a certificate to
Yeah,
be doing work that I'm able to through the life of hard knocks and just intuition do the work that I'm doing.
yeah. I love that for you, man. It's so funny. Like you can hammer all these different books, and then one day realize that your experience is actually like that's your education, right? I joke about that as well too, even through Play City and other companies. Like I feel like I have an MBA of hard knocks, and you just learn a ton. But that's again going back to like doing the thing versus just reading about it or whatever, right? So I love that you're consulting, man. Like I can't wait to get into that and find out more about this. But okay, so you get your PMP. Is this right around the time then you're moving to the West Coast? Like, when did that transition happen?
Man, again, how do you know all this stuff? Yeah, 2012 is around the time that I got my PMP. And I had come to visit my brother and his wife in Vancouver. They were here for a short stint. I visited in the summer. I also went to Whistler one time, and I'm like, man, this nature is beautiful. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I wanted to move out. Um, and it's funny. I was applying for jobs online, and I got a job. I didn't know it at the time. I got a job in Surrey.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, that's great, Surrey. That's close. Or sorry, South Surrey. I'm like, that's close enough. But when I looked on the map, and I'm like, holy, it's an hour and a half each way via transit from downtown Vancouver. I'm like, shoot. So
Yeah.
what the heck? I still did it. I moved out here, and I did that job for about 3 4 years. But yeah, I was like, yeah, PMP. Let's do something different. Decided to come to Vancouver.
Nice. So you're living in downtown, working in South Surrey?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, like, at least like you kind of got the best of both worlds. Like you could have moved to South Surrey to be close to work and then be super far from Van. So that's nice.
You know what? When I moved, I wanted to be in the city, like Kits and just the seawall and being able to bike. It was like I didn't want to have a car. So I knew I
Yeah.
wanted to be like in the thick of it, but it was a good job, and I was like, you know what, I'm content with this, and I put up with the commute for a bit, but then I also got into carpooling with a bunch of my friends, and
Mhm.
that made it a lot easier.
Okay. Yeah. So that's awesome. So you're now in Van. You're working as a project manager at this company in South Surrey, and you're living in Vancouver, and you lasted there for 3 to 4 years. Were you always looking for like the next gig, or like what was kind of going through your mind when you're making your transitions?
No, I wasn't. And it's you know, honestly, like at that part of my life, I was always somebody who was like living in the moment. Oh, I'm not gonna plan too far ahead. Let me just live in the
Hmm.
moment and embrace it. You know, I think back to it. I think I was almost afraid of planning,
Hmm.
and I didn't realize that planning for my future didn't have to take away from the moment.
Hmm.
I could still think about a plan, not be absolutely married to it, but still embrace the moment. So I didn't really think too much long term, but I always had a sense that, you know, I'd like to go back to school. I want to get my master's in business because I felt like it would help me unlock some things in finance and business. Maybe entrepreneurship, maybe
Hmm.
facilitation. And, you know, I was humming and hawing about this decision, kind of being afraid to make the decision. I was comfortable in my job. And then the recession came in 2016. Oil and gas kind of started to go downhill. One
Hmm.
round of layoffs, I survived. Second round of layoffs, I survived. And then the third round of layoffs, that's when they got me. And I kid you not, Hafiz, they took me into the office, my manager and the HR person, and my feeling was of restrained jubilation.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, you know what? I get a
Yeah.
layoff. I can go on EI for a little bit, and
Yep.
I can sort of start my new career at this moment.
Yeah. That's so funny, man. It's funny, like your gut knows. Like you say you're happy, but clearly when you're getting laid off, you're like, oh my God, yes.
Yeah,
Like you gave me wings, right? Like you kind of do what you want again or an excuse to get back to it. I love that feeling. It's happened to me once before as well too. I got caught in a company and it was a good company, great, all that, good pay and whatever else. It just wasn't for me. So that I got caught doing the same thing. And luckily it wasn't a long time. It was like 8 months ish. But they knew, they're like, yo, this is not a fit. Like, you're not meant to be here. And I don't think we're going to flourish with you. So let's just part. And here's your little severance. And I'm like, yes, thank you. You
and
know?
what did you go from there? Where did you go from there? What was that?
Oh, then I launched Play City.
Play City. Look at that. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. That was the next big project. But I needed the wings because sometimes you think you need something, and then life's like, nah. It's kind of like the universe having your back. Sometimes I feel
Yeah.
like if you look, I look at it that way. It's like there's something hooked me up, right? Um, okay, so let's talk about this. You're on your little sabbatical now, as or a layoff. This is when you decided to go to school and get your MBA?
Yeah, so that was in March of 2016. I did my GMAT, I think, the next month, and in September of that same year, I started my MBA at UBC.
Wow. Yeah, good
Yeah.
for you. Just got right into
So
it and
like
dove right in.
kind of yeah, boom, boom, boom. I had a great summer. I knew I was in, so I enjoyed the summer. I came back to Vancouver, and yeah, started my MBA journey, and that was a great chapter in my life. You know, being there. I remember the very first day, everybody is dressed, you know, to the nines and just like looking
Mm,
sharp, and you're like, man, I'm intimidated. There's
yeah.
some sharp people here.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was a cool journey. I really gave all of myself to the MBA program at UBC. I was academically, you know, giving all myself, but also socially, almost to a fault. I almost like I don't want to say burnt myself out, but I had an amazing experience. I did that program, and then I finished it off in Australia, Melbourne, for 3 months as an exchange student there.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how was that experience? Like it was short-lived, obviously, but 3 months still a long time. That must have been pretty awesome.
You know, it was, and maybe I'll take a step back because one of the pivotal moments in my MBA journey was I was walking down the hallway near the beginning of the program, and I saw this poster on the wall, and it said volunteers needed for 1 month teaching in Kenya, Africa.
Hmm.
And I'm like, huh. And it was social entrepreneurship to teach about the social impact of entrepreneurship. I'm like, huh. I'm like, teacher. I'm like, you know what? This is it. Like, I didn't care how I was
Yeah.
going to do it. This is it. And I went to that. It was the first summer after my first year of studies. And Hafiz, that was like such a life changer. I almost had like an out of body experience flying back to Canada after that, just because I felt like I was doing the work that I was supposed to be doing. And that was facilitation, social impact, entrepreneurship. And it was like, it was such a unlock moment that like that I carried. And that's kind of the experience that got me to Radius, right? Where I got to meet you.
Yeah, crazy. That's amazing, man. So did you end up in Melbourne then, or did you end up going to Kenya?
So I went to Kenya. That was in the summer. So and I
So you
went to
did do
Kenya.
Kenya.
I did Kenya, dude. I went around the
Oh,
world for the. I went to Kenya, and then I came back. I also previous to that we went to Chile. There was a mini exchange in Chile, and then once we came back from Kenya, I also had a great opportunity to teach about entrepreneurship to indigenous communities in
yeah.
BC. So
Okay.
we took that same curriculum to three different communities in BC. That was also an incredible experience. And then when the new semester started in September, that's when I pieced out to Melbourne and had those 3 months over there. And that was also pretty transformational as well.
Amazing, man. Good for you. Yo, I always knew you were a go-getter, man. But like these are like volunteer opportunities, and you see a poster that calls to you. It sounds like you know what you want, and you're not afraid to go for it. So interestingly enough, it's kind of like it's that hero's journey. Like you come back to where you're supposed to be, but along the way, all these kind of nuggets were like, making themselves apparent to you. And if you look back on your journey, you actually were doing what you wanted to do. You were just discovering yourself along the process, and here you
Mm,
are now, right? Like
no,
I
yeah.
thought that's amazing, man. Like kind of gave me goosebumps even hearing that as well too. It feels like that's a life worth lived, man. Like that's really, really cool. And I didn't know you went to Kenya and did these things as well too. And that's another huge learning right there as well too. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty incredible, man. Like I can't even imagine. Like I have some regrets when I look back on some of my opportunities at university. Like I was stuck in a program that I didn't want to do, and I didn't have the guts to get out of it because my parents wanted me to do something very specific. And I remember one time there was a exchange to the Czech Republic that I really wanted to go on, but at last minute I backed out. So I just didn't do these things. You know what I mean? So when I hear about it now, I'm very much late bloomer. I kind of found myself in my 30s. Like Radius was a pivotal point for me. But it sounds like that getting to there for you was also kind of like these amazing things just unfolding for you in that moment as well too. Like I thought because you were at Radius, like Annalise was like leading that, right? And you were there as a role for like supporting her, and you were kind of like learning the process there as well too, right? Because that was your goal to become a facilitator at Radius. Was that kind of like the preamble to your next role, or
What was my title there? Programs manager, incubations manager. So yeah, facilitator was a part of it,
yeah,
leading groups like the one you're a part of, but also,
yeah,
some of the bigger strategic things, business development for Radius, bringing in new funding and making new collaborations, and then also helping manage those programs. So my
amazing,
role was a little bit of what's the expression? Like a unicorn. It was a little bit
yeah,
of many different things, and that was its beauty and perhaps also its downfall. But some
mm,
of the facilitation. I just want to come back to, you being a late bloomer. Maybe that's the case, but you inspired me. Like it was those moments at Radius that I saw people like yourself and Kay and Dan with
hmm,
Seven Movements. I'm like, man,
hmm,
these guys are doing some cool shit. I'm like, I literally I got the entrepreneurial bug from you guys. I'm like, you know what? This is exciting. And so yeah, I was doing this work at Radius and I felt like an entrepreneur, but I
hmm,
didn't feel like an entrepreneur. And it was seeing you
hmm.
guys, yeah, you know what? Sure, it was tough, but I mean, I don't know about I'm sure you wouldn't change the experience with Play City for anything in the world. And I learned a lot
Oh,
from you, man.
yeah, thanks, man. That means a lot, and likewise as well too. Like that was an amazing. It was like only 6 months, but it was like such a pivotal 6 months. That was an amazing time on Van. I met so many incredible people, like the ones you mentioned, and like lifelong friendships, man, and just like really, really good people. And it's pretty cool when you're around people that are aligned in like their mission. And the Radius did a good job of that, of social entrepreneurship. Like people are there to make the world a better place, and how can they help facilitate that and doing those kind of things, man. So I'm glad you ended up there. I'm glad that you did that work, and I'm glad that you got the bug from us and other people to kind of launch your own. This episode is brought to you by Bloom Benefits Group. Bloom Benefits is disrupting employee benefits by rethinking the status quo. They provide exceptional customer service while saving you money. Bloom offers group benefits and retirement products, health and wellness accounts, executive benefits, life insurance, and disability and critical illness.
Available to companies across Canada, Bloom helps clients save money without interrupting current plans. Check them out at bluebenefits.ca.
Young professionals, families, and entrepreneurs. What makes Zelos Investment Counsel different? Our independence, client focus, and access. Zelos Investment Counsel is independent from banks and brokerages, which ensures clients' best interests are served without corporate conflicts. We are fiduciary portfolio managers with a duty to clients that doesn't exist in the brokerage model. At Zelos Investment Counsel, we exist to care for our clients, and every day we strive to help our clients reach their goals. We provide our clients with access to institutional investment managers and sector specialists through our proprietary investment structure. For more information, book your no-obligation meeting today at zelosglobal.com. That's www.zelosglobal.com.
Attention all car owners. Is the winter weather turning your beloved ride into a rusty relic? Fear not, because we've got the solution you've been dreaming of. Crown Rust Protection. Picture this, your car defying the elements, standing strong against rust like a knight in shining armor. Crown Rust Protection is not just a shield, it's an investment in the longevity and resale value of your vehicle. Don't let rust take the wheel. Book your Crown Rust Protection treatment today and let your car embrace its inner superhero. Call now at 403-291-1951 or book your appointment at www.krown.com. Our skilled technicians are ready to give your car the VIP treatment it deserves. Crown Rust Protection, because your car deserves to age like fine wine, not rusty vinegar.
Today's episode is brought to you by Motive, a leading venture builder with over a decade of experience helping corporates and startups build, launch, and scale successful business ventures. Whether you're looking to innovate your business model, develop a game-changing product, or craft a winning go-to-market strategy, Motive is with you every step of the way. Their proven venture building process and technologies help reduce risks and accelerate time to market. Innovation is everywhere. Let's harness it together. Visit motive.digital to learn more. That's Motive spelled M-O-T-I-V.
Let's talk about this leg of the journey now. So like you are now a facilitator at Radius and you're an entrepreneur and you've got the bug. How does that go?
Well, yeah, again, you're asking such great questions, Hafiz, because there's so much connection there. So yeah, I got the entrepreneurial bug. I felt like I always had it. You know, growing up, I used to sell marbles in the playground. I used to sell comic books at the beach with my cousin in Yugoslavia. I used to sell used textbooks when I was in university. I always feel like I had a bit of this like hustler entrepreneurial mindset. It went
Mm-hmm.
away a little bit during my initial engineering project management days, but again, Radius unlocked that. Um, I love the social impact world, but at times I felt a little bit like an outsider. You know, I came from this industrial capitalistic background. And, you know, at Radius, it was very much social impact, but at times I felt like maybe I wasn't fully in that. Maybe I wasn't fully able to sort of connect with some of the marginalized groups that we were serving and wanting to serve and connect with. So one
Mm-hmm.
of the ideas I had was, how do we take this amazing work, or how do I take this amazing work that Radius is doing with the impact, and how do I bring it to the industry?
Mm-hmm.
How do I bring it to the places where I know and I come from, where I think, you know, something as simple as a humanity check at the beginning of a meeting is going to make a big difference in helping somebody feel connected to themselves and to each other. And
Right.
so that's what the idea that I started thinking about in my head is like, okay, let me start consulting, facilitating, and bringing some of this social impact work to other organizations. And you talked about the hero's journey. I kind of feel like my career is made like a 360, where now the clients I'm serving are those engineering, construction, technical organizations that maybe feel like they're not, you know, serving a greater purpose. And I help them realize that they are.
That's awesome that you're taking your experience back to industry. And like how is that welcomed? Because this is a time where D and I and all these other, topics of creating more humanity within the workplace, not like the triple bottom line and stuff like that as well. To like those are like just big items. Has that been like a pretty are you happy with that angle? Like how's that been going for you?
I don't, you said D&I, like diversity, inclusion, equity, is that right? Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
particularly use that language in approaching these clients just because
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it resonates with all of them and if so, how it does. But in general, with my past, so these clients, there is some resistance.
Hmm.
There is like, hey man, listen, that's some fluffy mumbo jumbo emotional stuff. We don't care about that stuff here. I understand. I respect that. So I try to, how do I communicate to them in a way that makes sense to them? So it's around employee retention. It's around employee burnout. It's
Hmm.
around succession planning and growth trajectories, right? I'm
Hmm.
talking to them in a language that makes sense to them. But as I do that, I bring in that people component. People have tell me,
Hmm.
"VJ, sometimes you're like my therapist." And I'm like, well, I'm not a therapist, but my work can be therapeutic in helping you understand these things. And so,
Right.
you're right, there is an initial resistance, and I'm navigating how to go around that. But
Mm.
when the times I have worked with clients, it's really fulfilling, and they feel the impact.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, good for you. Like, so what's the name of your company and tell us exactly what you do?
So Most Connected is the name of the company. We are specialists in employee engagement and fulfillment. We help specifically, engineering, construction, technical companies best engage and empower their workforce so they can grow individually and collectively. And so we do one-on-one coaching, we do team coaching, and we do also culture assessment surveys and really try to get a sense of how to build the organization together so that they're aligned in the purpose and what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great pitch as well too. Well done.
Thank you. You just put me on the spot, buddy. I'm sweating here, Hafiz. No, I'm not. I'm not.
You're good. No, you're cool, man. You've always been cool. Cool as a cucumber. So like you're do you feel like you're doing the work that you're like meant to do? Like you're facilitating, you're talking about like the heart of businesses, which are the people, helping them stay connected to themselves to create higher versions of themselves and purpose and affect these companies. Like tell me about this, like the feeling that you get when you work with people.
How are you asking these questions? You're literally reading my. What are you doing right now, man? You used a word earlier. You said you were getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
For the first time in my career, I'm measuring my success not by my job title, not by how much I'm getting paid, but how I'm feeling.
Hmm.
And I have these moments, these aha moments, like whether I'm with a client one on one, or I'm with a group, or even with a collaborator, and I get these goosebumps, and I almost get emotional.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I think that's my body and soul and everything telling me that I'm doing the work that I'm intended to be doing.
Yeah, word, man. It is like that
Yeah.
when you feel that, your body knows like that alignment's like ikigai, right? It's kind of like all the
Ikigai,
things.
ikigai,
Oh my
yes,
God,
brother,
man,
ikigai, yes, yes.
it's amazing. Like that's true kind of synchronicity. So I love that you've got that, man. It's been a journey for you as well too. Like I've been following. We chat over WhatsApp and sometimes calls here and there. Like I know it's been a journey for you, and entrepreneurship isn't easy. You know what I mean? Like, but you're in it for a few years now, and I'm so happy for you, bro. I think like things are going well and they're taking off, and I know they're gonna get even better. So that's awesome, man. But how are you holding it all together now? Like, what's your wellness regimen look like? You've always been an active guy. You talked about sports and kind of that. Like, what are some of the things that you picked up along the way to kind of bring your best self?
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's this as rewarding as the work is, it's also challenging. As a consultant, I have great months, and then I have not so great months. And so it's riding those waves, and yeah, it's tough. Sometimes I can probably work too many hours. It's definitely one of the downsides, but the wellness regiment, I always try to be active in the morning, whether it's a
Mm,
walk or I go for tennis, a little bit less now with tennis, but I'll go for a run or a bike ride in the mornings. I love my
mm,
mornings.
mm,
My lunches are a sanctuary. I'll never skip lunch.
mm,
I'll have either a small bite or a bite, but I'll also go for a walk. That's
mm,
kind of one of my key things. And then also my journal. I mean, I probably have it, I have a couple of them. Just having
mm,
my journal, being able to reflect and get my thoughts out on the paper is such an important thing, especially at night. Sometimes my mind is running, and so I'll get some
mm.
thoughts out on paper. That's huge. And the other thing I've started to do recently, Hafiz, is with a group of fellow entrepreneurs, friends, we've started a bi-weekly accountability group.
Awesome.
So we'll meet and we'll sort of discuss what's going well, what isn't going well, and just having that support system, like you said. And I think you and I even served this for each other, is sort of just to like vent and celebrate the stuff that's going well. So those are some of the things that is like a physical and mental wellness for me.
Yeah, good for you, man. I think all those things are amazing. Um, I know during COVID when we were doing those weekly calls, that was like my saving grace, man, for like a long time. It's lonely, as you know, when you're doing the things yourself and you're doing all the work, whether it's business development and actually doing the work and then retention and outreach and everything else, but you're doing all of it. So that's I'm glad you're keeping it all together. And I think that's the systems mind that you have as well too, and kind of like those inputs and outputs, right? So like if you know that morning time is the sweet spot to get that done. I agree as well too. Like when I changed my workouts from like 3 or 2:33 to break up the day to start the day with that, it has been an absolute game changer. I wish I did that
You
years
like
ago.
the mornings? I
Oh,
love the mornings.
way better, way better. My day flows from then on. I've drank way more water from the morning, and then you kind of like let that flow as well too, as like you've already done something hard, like this morning, front squats, boom, finished. Like just done, and then
You're
the
looking
rest of the
fit,
day.
my guy. You're looking fit, I gotta tell you.
Thanks, man. I'm trying to keep up. You know what I mean? Like I lost a lot of hair up here, so I'm trying to keep it all
Hey,
tight
I'm
everywhere
losing.
else.
I got a little bit, who knows?
No,
Whatever,
no,
man.
you're good, man. No, you look like you got all the youth and the experience. You could be like that Just for Men commercial. I would hire you. You know, that's awesome, man. Okay, so like I'm really happy for you, man. And like so let's talk about some lessons that you've learned along the way. Like you've done a lot of things. If somebody is, maybe this is like someone's listening to this 20 years down the road. Maybe it's a child of yours or something like that, or as somebody listening to it today that is just kind of on their journey and trying to figure out who they are as well too. Like, what are some of the lessons along the way that you picked up that you pay forward?
There's so many lessons. And by the way, I never want to come across as somebody that's like, I got my shit figured out, or I have this
Yeah,
like secret approach. And, I'm just saying that also. I want to just take a bit of humility because I don't think there is like any one, two, three lessons that's like a sure thing fire. I guess I can just share some things that come to my mind and
yeah,
thinking about this question. Um, for me, just getting to know myself, like taking a little bit of time. Gabor Mate talks about this as a child. You kind of have to play this role, whether you want attachment and belonging from others, or if you want that authenticity. If you want to be yourself, but at the risk of being the detached and not having a sense of belonging. Should I continue?
oh, yeah. You're good. Keep going.
Okay, so you're talking about this, and so I think for me, I was a lot of my life living to serve others and thinking about being a people pleaser and what do others need from me and how do I serve them. I forgot to think about myself. And so that's something, the lesson and advice I would give to people is take that time to think about it. What are your values? What are your strengths? And this is the type of exercise I take my clients so they can just really understand themselves. Lead yourself so you can lead others. There's a quote that I love to use. Howard Truman, I believe, originated this one, part of the civil rights movement.
Hmm.
The quote he says is, um, what is the quote he says? Don't ask what the world needs. Instead, ask what makes you come alive. Because what
Hmm.
the world needs is people who have come alive,
Yeah,
right? So I
for
was
sure.
so preoccupied because coming from a war-torn country, I always wanted to make the world a better place. I wanted to change the world and I wanted to be a teacher. What I forgot to do was how do I change myself and be a student? And so finding that element and the self-discovery, I think is important. That's a lesson I'd pass on to myself. I continue to pass on to me, but yeah, that's one of those big ones is really getting to know self so you can work with others and
Hmm.
lead others.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. Like how can you teach others if you haven't taken the time to learn yourself, right? And yourself as a person, like your what makes you tick, your ego and your shadow self, and what's going on in there as well too. So that's incredible, man. Like I think the best people that I have conversations with are the ones that are taking the time to work on their awareness. And that takes effort because it is easy to kind of just float through and, go with however it goes and be angry about stuff or whatever. And it's super hard to sit back and reflect, like, did you ever go to Hollyhock? Were you there that weekend?
I didn't. I did not. But I went to a Vancouver Hollyhock, and that was a pretty cool experience, like a little mini version of Vancouver, and that was a cool
Okay,
experience.
yeah. That was on the beach, right? Or maybe not. I don't know. I went to
No,
one
it
on
was like
Hollyhock
it
the
was
beach.
like it was at a convention center or like some
Ah,
center
cool.
somewhere. But that was a cool experience.
Yeah, Hollyhock was amazing for that. Like I remember through Radius, I got invited and I went with Kiri and I think Annalise was there as well too. I went to Hollyhock for the weekend
On
and
Cortez Island, right?
yeah, on Cortez Island, and that was magical, man. And really, that was the first step I found in kind of limiting distractions. And it's just you and a journal and the woods. And I remember living in this woods or in this cabin for like 2 or 3 days. And I had this really cool roommate. I can't remember his name now, but he was awesome. And everywhere I would go, this random deer would show up and it would just kind of pop out and it would like look at me and it would just stare and it would always be there. So that weekend I would just see this deer everywhere. I'm like, this is like weird what's happening. It just keeps popping out. But I remember just writing in the journal all weekend. And at the end of it, I remember writing at in the front of the journal, like the answers are actually within. You just have to search within to find them, right? And to do that, you have to like limit your distractions and the noise and all the other stuff that's out there, and take that time to ask those questions. And those are powerful, man. Like this is a good reminder for me to kind of dig deeper and do that. I was into journaling for a long time, and I haven't done that for a long time because you feel like you get to a certain point, you got to kind of figure it out. Like, why did I stop? But really, what brought you to this point is that introspective work. So why would you stop, right? So this is a good prompt for me to do that. So thank you for saying that, and continuing that work. Um, BJ, I'm really pumped, man. Like this is a long time coming, but I felt like it was the right time that we're chatting. This has been super powerful, and I'm really proud of you, man. Like you look like you're doing great. You're living. You're doing the things that fuel you or that make you happy. And of course, it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be ups and downs. And I don't know, man. I don't know what to say except that I'm grateful that we're buddies. I'm grateful for Radius for bringing us together, and I'm really just proud of you for like going through your journey and hearing more about it today. Like it's super powerful, man. Like it's wild what you've gone through, and I can't just I can't wait to see where like the rest of this journey unfolds, man. Because it sounds like an exciting time.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, Hafiz. And tell you, I've been waiting. I've been excited. I've been really excited to have this conversation, to be on your podcast. I love what you're doing. I love the journey you've been on. I often think about I know you had your hardships with Play City, when to continue, when to quit. I still ask
Hmm.
myself those questions. So, for better or for worse, I'm still fighting this fight. But thank you, man. You know how much respect I have for you. And, yeah, it's great to have this conversation. You've asked some amazing questions. Like I said, you kept reading my mind. I don't know how you did that.
You made
And
it easy, bro.
no, so yeah, that was awesome. And I wish there was a bit more time to get to know what's going on with you. I love the work that you're doing with Crown and Connect the Two Dots. And I think, did I see on LinkedIn, are you recently married?
Yeah, I got married in February,
My God,
actually.
congratulations, man.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a whirlwind as well too, and like life takes you on some amazing journeys, but I feel very grateful for the people that are really like have come to my world, and honestly, like some of the people that I've had to unfortunately move on from as well too, and then that's kind of what I'm struggling with lately as well too. But like it's that attachment of stuff and just embracing the now and future, man. But I feel very grateful. Like working with family has been incredible. All the journey, all the lessons throughout the journey have kind of brought me here as well too. And now it's just trying to stay focused, man. If I could go back to Play City, and I would do a million things different. So I'm trying to take all those lessons and bring them into here because there's so many distractions. And the only thing I've learned, the biggest thing I've learned is niche down, right?
Yeah,
And
same. Honestly, you got a niche. You got to hone in, hone in, hone in, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because everything else is a distraction. Like, what is the thing you want to be known for? Which is like my final question to you as well too. If somebody asked you what your purpose was, what would you say?
It's bringing people together. It's bringing people alive so that they know what their purpose is, and helping helping people that have challenges with, let's say, their emotional intelligence connect a little bit more to that. I want to break down those barriers because I come from a war-torn country, specifically a civil war, and that happened because there were so many tensions between different religions and different people. And so I don't think it's pretty when shit blows over. So what I love to do is I want to sort of help be that pre pre-conflict intervention, having some of those difficult conversations when they're easier to have and making sure that people are connecting to themselves and to each other. And so that's my purpose, is to sort of be that bridge. And that's why most connected, most in the Slavic language means a bridge. And so I want to be that bridge between people and themselves.
Yeah, I love it. That's excellent, man. That's very, very cool and very clear. How do people get a hold of you? How do they learn more about what you're up to? And if you have the potential clients that are listening here, how do they get in touch?
Well, you're kind to ask. Yeah, please reach out. I'm active on LinkedIn. VJ Terzic is LinkedIn. You can also find mostconnected.ca. And yeah, like I said, I love to work with those technical service-based organizations. If they're an organization that maybe hasn't implemented lots of HR practices, are wanting to empower and align and engage their workforce, I'd love to chat. I have some free tools they can use to do a quick assessment. So that's an easy way for them to do it. And if they want to explore more, I'm happy to just sort of understand what challenges they're facing and learn and connect. I don't like to sell. I like to connect. And if that takes us to a business relationship, great. If not, also great.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Well, we'll share all that in the show notes, and when we share it on social media and stuff like that as well too, for people to get in touch. DJ, so good connecting. It really sometimes is a blessing. I obviously I wish Gilbert was here, but I'm so glad that you and I got to connect one-on-one. This has been some time coming, and let's definitely keep this conversation going. You know what I mean? Like, it's always a pleasure, man. Congrats and
Likewise.
everything, and like you're doing great, man. It's so good to see you, and yeah, I look forward to keeping in touch.
Hafiz, you beauty. Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us for another episode of Between Two Dots by Intention Media. This podcast is co-hosted by myself, Gilbert Bong, and Hafiz Mita. If you enjoyed this podcast, please rate and review wherever you listen.